I'm sorry I did that to us, man.
Joe Rogan is known for being unfiltered, bold, and brutally honest. But what happened during a recent podcast episode wasn't just another candid conversation. It was a moment of raw emotion, of undeniable truth finally coming to the surface. Sitting in his studio, Joe didn't open with jokes or banter this time. Instead, he sat quietly, holding a stack of documents, visibly shaken. The usually sharp-witted host appeared somber, and for good reason. What he had in front of him was a paper trail, timelines, and first-hand accounts detailing a disturbing narrative surrounding Diddy and a young Justin Bieber.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So
Justin Bieber had a post the other day on his Instagram talking about all the drugs that he did when he was younger and how much it fucked him up, and now he's got a relationship with the Lord, and he's got he's married, and he's trying to be a normal person. Yeah, but he's struggling with the fact that he was insanely famous when he was a kid.
Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, he could buy you one also while you're out.
He got me a Lamborghini.
That's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything?
Yeah.
Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
It's 5.
What's going to happen, though, you think?
Well, they wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like. What kind of fucking asshole do you gotta be to take another boy, another talented boy, and put him in your place so it ain't gotta be you no more? Because that's what pedophiles do. They get victims, and then once they get to a certain age and they get too old for them to enjoy them, they send them out to go get other young kids. Now, if Usher is a procurer, and if Usher knew what was going to happen to any of those young children that he took to the Flavor Freak off, is he a good guy? Especially considering what happened to him. Especially considering that he sat with Howard Stern, and Howard Stern said, would you send your kids to Puffy's Flavor Camp? And his immediate response was, hell no! So it's good enough for everybody else's kids, but it's not good enough for yours.
Joe opened by playing a resurfaced clip from years ago, a moment that had long flown under the radar until now. In the clip, Diddy casually bragged about spending 48 hours with Justin Bieber when the singer was just 15 years old. He described it as a dream for a teenager, but refused to explain what actually happened, saying only that it was undisclosed. Joe paused the video and stared into the camera. To some people, this might seem harmless, he said. But when you know how this industry works, when you say, you've seen the pattern, that kind of secrecy is a red flag. The documents Joe was holding revealed even more troubling details. There were notes from Justin himself, scribbled entries pleading for rest, expressing confusion, and begging not to be sent somewhere again. One line stood out among the pile. "This is too much. I need to sleep. Please don't make me go again." Joe laid the note gently on the desk and said, "That's not the voice of a rising star. That's the voice of a kid just trying to survive." What made the situation even more alarming was how Justin Bieber ended up in Diddy's care to begin with. From Usher, Justin's early mentor, to Diddy. According to records, Usher had temporary guardianship of Bieber at one point and apparently handed over responsibility to Diddy for a period of time. There was no formal legal transition, no official court document, just a quiet shift behind the scenes. Joe questioned how something like this could happen without any oversight. "We're not talking about two adults here," he emphasized. This was a 15-year-old barely starting his life, and the adults around him were treating him like a transaction. The episode grew even more intense when Joe played part of a recent Instagram video from Justin, where he spoke about the struggles he faced growing up famous. He never named names, but he did mention feeling pressured, overwhelmed, and misunderstood. Joe used this moment to draw direct connections. He laid out Justin's tour dates, management schedules, and documented instances when Justin stayed in Diddy's homes or traveled with him under arrangements that lacked proper safeguards for someone underage. Then came the part that visibly broke Joe Rogan. The therapist's report, submitted as part of a deposition. The document described Justin Bieber at 16 as emotionally shut down, overstimulated, and carrying the weight of an empire on his back. The report used phrases like reward-punishment cycles, loss of personal boundaries, and chronic anxiety due to external control. Joe's voice cracked as he read it aloud. "This kid wasn't being mentored," he said. "He was being handled. There's a difference, a massive one." As if the written reports weren't enough, Joe dropped a final bombshell: surveillance footage. It showed a young Justin walking down a hallway at 3:12 a.m., flanked by two adults. He wasn't smiling, he wasn't energetic, he looked drained, nervous, and uncertain. Behind one of the doors was a whiteboard with the phrase "full immersion weekend" and rules like 5-minute phone limit, no outside calls, and vocal drills all day. Joe pointed out that there was no mention of rest, education, or well-being. "That's not training," he said sternly. "That's control." The fallout was immediate. Within hours of the podcast airing, several companies began pulling Diddy-related content from their platforms. A sneaker brand canceled an upcoming release. A streaming platform began removing archived clips involving Diddy. The media landscape, once protective of its icons, was shifting, but Joe made it clear this wasn't about canceling someone. "It's about protecting the next kid," he said. "It's about asking how many more have to go through this before someone steps in." Joe ended the podcast with a powerful pledge. He announced that all the revenue from that episode would go directly to youth mental health programs and artist protection initiatives. He looked straight into the camera and delivered one final message. "If you saw the signs and said nothing, this is on you too. We're not letting this cycle continue." The music industry had turned a blind eye for too long.